Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, I'm John, this is Many a True Nerd, and welcome back, or rather welcome, I suppose, to Total War Warhammer 2, a brand new mode, because I felt a bit bad, because Fallout 4 VR has come along and it's kind of shunted Total War Warhammer 2 out of the kind of the normal rotation this week. It'll be back later in the week, don't worry. But I kind of just wanted to have a little bit of Total War Warhammer 2 to apologise for that. And then the laboratory came along, a new mode for Total War Warhammer 2, which basically says all the standard rules of what makes sense and what's sane and whatever should actually be thrown out, including what computers are capable of running. So let's basically start off by whacking unit size up to flipping 10x. And just creating, there we go, creating a massive grey army, and a massive army of Skaven too. They can be, we'll just clear out that, and come up with a nice big army. So that's quite a few units, because now every single unit is going to be 10x the size. And you see here, we've got all these sliders, so we can change things, winds of magic, explosions being bigger or smaller, and all that business, real time animation, loads of fairly standard stuff. So basically, we can just kind of, change pretty much anything around. But let's start off with just a great big massive battle here. This entire mode, by the way, comes with a disclaimer, which basically says, yeah, this might not work. Doesn't matter how good your computer is, this just might not work. This mode is completely 100% excluded from the typical rules of the minimum and recommended specs for Warhammer 2. Luckily, this is actually being recorded at Creative Assembly's house, where they've given me some form of future space PC, and bloody hell, look at this. Oh, bloody hell, look at this. The army is so wide, it's actually filled up the entire battle map. The entire deployment space is just there. That's one unit of cavalry. One unit of cavalry, so... Oh, I think I broke the space computer. Uh-oh. Don't worry, it's okay. Creative Assembly came over and they fixed the space computer. I've slightly scaled things down. But a single army is still filling the entire flipping deployment area of a standard battle map. So it takes quite a long time to actually, just kind of, strafe along the entire battle line there. So in comes some rats. We finally got ourselves the proper Vermintide. That is a real proper flipping Vermintide coming to us. Luckily, we've got the Elf Tide to actually take them on too. And it's ridiculous. The scale of these battles is stupid. So I'm just basically trying... That's almost my cavalry. I'm trying to basically flank with my cavalry, but I can't really flank right now, because there's not enough space on the battle map to flank. So that's just one unit of Dragon Princes. And there's just, it creates massive, I love it. I love it. There's massive Lord of the Rings style battles. And in comes the artillery, because of course the artillery pieces get multiplied as well. So normally if there'd be 2 artillery pieces in 10x, there'll be 20 artillery pieces. So artillery is still, actually I think artillery probably does better out of it, because just being able to lay down more fire, if you can just kind of slowly throttle the approach to the enemy. And by the way, yeah, the Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower is just ridiculous. And just if you feel like the battles in Warhammer 2 weren't quite big or epic enough, I'd say this is your answer right here, which is, this is basically just epic mode. Epic mode, and also your computer is going to break mode. But it's just beautiful. It's just absolutely beautiful, beautiful chaos. I did actually, by the way, after the computer crashed, I checked what was inside it. This is basically a really good quality Intel i7 CPU with a GTX 1080 Titan. That's what we're seeing here. So actually, the performance seems to be pretty good. Oh, you may be noticing, by the way, that some rats are being sent just a little bit on the flying side there. You see, I may have also slightly tweaked the gravity. We'll get back to the gravity, but I'll tell you what, let's move on to something else. Because units that are one-off units don't actually get big kind of increases in their numbers. Instead, they get entity scale. So one-off units don't get multiplied. Instead, they get made bigger. So you may notice that Krotgar, on top of his mighty, mighty T-Rex, is looking a bit bigger than usual. Yeah, about 2.5 times bigger, because you can basically scale up anything. So that will be heroes, and also their mounts will scale with them. Tragically, you don't have to scale up a hero and then scale down his or her mount, as hilarious as that would be. Or vice versa, but you're not allowed to do that. So yes, massive T-Rex. And you can also do it, by the way, for heroes, even if they're riding normal stuff, like horses. So you can just put a massive horse next to a tiny, tiny horse, which is quite frankly hilarious. Also, I wanted to test one thing, which is, if you've got these horses next to this, can the little horses ride? Yes, they totally can! You can ride little horses through the big horse's legs. That's amazing! Also, I didn't really see many people talking about this, but yeah, you can actually also shrink one-off units too. So you can shrink lords. So you've got tiny baby Tyrion here. I quite like tiny baby Tyrion. So let's see if we can now repeat the trick in reverse, where now basically they will just ride over the top of Tyrion. So in come the... Oh, no, leave him alone. He's only little. Oh, bless you, Tyrion. You tiny, tiny, magnificent bastard. Now, speaking of that whole gravity business, let's turn up impact force and damage and turn gravity right flipping down as well. So in comes some nice dragon princes on the charge. That plague's not going to stop them. And in comes one of the most powerful charges in the game. And look at the scale. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I think that works for me. I think that just about works. So both of those units are routing, by the way. You know, they'll start routing as soon as they actually hit the ground. So obviously that's not the entire unit. That's... Oh, the one at the top has shattered. So the one at the bottom, once it actually lands, those guys, if they survive the fall, will actually try and get back to the battle. The guy at the top, not so much. Apparently, if they survive, they're going to try and flee the battlefield. You know what? I mean, that's fair enough, so we'll just kind of skim straight through some falling skim. Ah, and there's the edge of the battle map and the edge of the world right there. Now, what I've seen before is there's actually a massive invisible wall around the outside of this here map. So when they actually hit that wall, they should basically squish against it and then fall to the ground. Oh, no. Interestingly, they're not on this occasion. Actually, if you throw them from far enough away, the game basically lets them just pass over. Maybe it's because those guys are corpses, I'm not sure. Now, normally, if you're putting, say, 100 elves versus several thousand rats, they'll probably end badly for the elves. But if all the elves, say, were Eagle Claw bolt throwers, and you were to put all those Eagle Claw bolt throwers into the beautiful multi-shot round mode, well then, I think they might just stand a chance. So there it is, there comes the first volley, heading out there, and oh, this is just going to be beautiful. It's mental, but it's absolutely glorious, and the rats are being absolutely torn to shreds, and yeah, the leadership is collapsing. And in comes shot after shot after shot after shot after shot. And oh, blimey. It's beautiful. It's just beautiful. Like, I know my main campaign playthrough has been Skaven, but I actually do rather enjoy the High Elves just, and part of that is just I really like the Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower. It's the only bit of artillery they've got, but it's an amazing bit of artillery because of its 2 fire modes. And oh, just so many shots coming in. Oh, they're absolutely tearing apart. Like, I don't know if they can actually win this. Just with artillery alone, just with the terrible leadership of rats, because they're starting to break already. They're wavering. And oh, I think I left the gravity low. I kind of forgot the gravity was still low there. I wonder if they could actually win this. No, tragically, it seems to have actually been carried by the monsters. Oh, yeah, there's that gravity, by the way. I'm pretty sure those elves were just basically tossed away by an actual flipping giant rat monster there. So that's unfortunate. I'm not sure they're ever coming down. Yeah, unfortunately, it was the monsters and the Doom Wheels that managed to actually just actually get over into the front line. And as a result, even though some of them are still firing, yeah, it's unlikely they'll be able to recover at this point. The Helping Abominations are going down. So, you know what? A respectable defense from the elves there, but I'm not sure they're actually going to be able to win this one. But I feel like the elves actually could do with a little bit of revenge. So you know what's a good unit? A Star Dragon is a good unit. So what if we were to say 1 Star Dragon taking on basically the Vermintide? Yeah, Clan Rat Spears with shields times, I don't know, 40 or something. I can't even remember how many I set at this point. So several thousand rats, probably about 10 to 20,000 fairly basic Skaven units versus 1 Star Dragon. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll leave you with this. This here, this is the face of death, okay? This is what my sudden death looks like. Do not engage before we arrive. Do not engage. What are you doing? I specifically said don't. Oh, no.
No, John.
Oh, he likes that. The Romans touched me.